All right. So if we look at what we have nowadays, we have some traditional, we have central planning. Because I mean, the more you watch, if you're into politics at all, if you just listen to the news, I mean, you listen to some of the new policies they're talking about. I just heard this one this morning. It was you're talking about um, uh, so they want to tax the billionaires. I think I mentioned that yesterday. Which okay, the billionaires will figure out a way around that regardless. Um, but they're also trying to find tax subsidies, meaning they're going to give people money in certain states that have higher tax rates. So if it's one of those weird things, like we're going to tax the billionaires, but then those billionaires in their homes will get a $300,000 credit every single year because the state of California has such a high tax rate. So we have to help them in their homes. It's kind of weird. And then you and I, middle class, lower middle class, depending on where we fall, will end up getting like $16 in assistance. What do you do? Like, so we have this government policy where like doesn't quite seem right. Um, what was the other one I was reading about? Oh, gas taxes. Oh, I have to bring that book in. I'll try to cite the book. I bought a book last year at the end of the school year. All it was talking about was where we're getting hit tax wise and how much we get taxed. It ends up coming out in your gas tax to I believe 49 cents out of every single gallon is 100 is just tax. And then Ohio doesn't have it hooked to inflation. So we talk about inflation and the rise of the perfect example of inflation is the McDonald's dollar value fry. Well, first of all, do we have the dollar value menu anymore? I think it's gone away now. But for a while we had it when they first opened up that specific dollar value menu. $1 for French fries got you a medium fry. By the time it went away, what were you getting? A small fry, and sometimes it was barely filled up. Right. So same dollar, you're just getting less for that dollar. Um, so over the years, you look at inflation, you look at all these different things that are coming along, and as the prices go up, I just found this out too. So we thought about this is a weird one. The oil companies are making all these millions upon billions of dollars. You know how much money they make per gallon of gas sold, which still is a lot. Of that $3.33, how much of that goes to the gas companies? What's that? Too much.
20 cents.
About 15 cents. So of the $3.33, 15 cents goes to the gas companies. Now again, that's 15 cents times every single person that's buying 20 gallons of gas. So it's a lot of money. I'm not going to take it away from them. But when you look at that, that's 15 cents. Where's the other $3.15 going? If it's $3.30, right? We've got taxes for the state of Ohio. We've got taxes for the federal government. We've got taxes at the local level. It's just a massive amount of government involvement. A lot of the stuff. There's our central planners. Right? And then, of course, the free market. Now, this is where Smith kind of jumps back in and says, yes, I'm all about self-interest and doing things for yourself and enjoying your life. However, there are things where the government should be around to help us out. Right? So one of the things that they talk about with schools, we need education. One of the things that I always tell people too, especially when I'm talking about this, is we as teachers know you may have a subject you don't like. Right? Your high school experience is a survey class. It's not in depth. If you guys wanted to follow through with certain things that you like, so like you're in engineering, I'm guessing you're going to follow through with that specific field, and you're going to probably be in the math field and the geometry and all that's going to be your world. So when you go to college, you're like, all right, I'm not going to worry about English. I'm not going to worry about science. I'm not going to worry about, I'm going to go focus on this field and all the classes that surround it. Right? So high school, and this is one of the things, is supposed to be these are all the things that we're looking at. This is everything. So like if some of you guys enjoy social studies, and you like government, you like economics, you like political science, you're going to potentially go down that field. Right? So Smith thought, okay, we do need some help there. Health hazards, this is where we're talking about the drug stuff, right? Earlier, that free market system where everything's legal. That's awesome, right? But at the same time, where do we draw that line? So Smith does recognize we probably need some sort of assistance, right? The other thing that he talks about is, and if we're dealing with child labor laws, and I have a couple of the posters up there, one of the things that we used to allow was kids working in the factories. That was like the whole industrial revolution. I think I got rid of it. I don't have it. There was a picture I used to have of a young girl, probably 6 years old, 7 years old, that they would use in the factories to go inside the machines because she was small enough and she could actually reach. But then you had kids losing fingers or having hands cut off or being maimed in the machinery. And then, of course, the company would have to provide them some sort of payout. Has anybody by any chance read the Monkey's Paw? Oh, if you guys get a chance, the Monkey's Paw is really, really good. It's great for Halloween now that I think about it. But in the book, it's their teenager, could be early 20s son is working at a factory, and the parents get this monkey's paw, and it's like this Oriental thing, and it starts out by the father gets it from a coworker, and the coworker says, "Be careful with this; it's very, very dangerous." And they get it, and he says, "You'll get 3 wishes, but you'll get exactly what you want." So you know what I'm talking about? And he wishes for, I think it was like 500 gold pieces or some whatever the currency, and the monkey's paw actually like moves. They move. It like throws it, and then about 5 minutes later, there's a knock on the door, and they go to answer the door, and it's the company that the son works for, and they say, "We're so sorry to inform you that your son was caught in the machinery and killed, but here's 500 coins in compensation." And then they wish at one point the wife is like so distraught she grabs the monkey's paw and wishes for the son to be back with them again.
The body, that's almost like seal.
Right, and then all of a sudden the husband hears a knocking on the door, and it's this slow. It's really good because it's a book. The Simpsons did a version of it too, so if you want to find the Simpsons monkey's paw. But yeah, so child labor laws, it's kind of an issue when you have kids getting killed in the factories or working just as much as their dad is to make ends meet. Now, this is something that is actually in your definitions, laissez-faire. So it's a French term, and the key word I have underlined in here, because I have a lot of people that when they did the definition went, governments should not intervene in the marketplace. And that is not true. Laissez-faire says government generally should not interfere. It's very, very much a get out of my way. If you've ever heard, there's a quote from Ronald Reagan that says, government is not the answer to the problem. Government is the problem. There's too much government. And you probably heard President Trump, again, whether you like him or not, made the same comment. There's too much, draining the swamp. We need to get rid of all this government. And I just read, I actually put this little anecdotal facts I found out this morning. The Cuyahoga River, our lovely Cuyahoga River, caught on fire. I thought it was originally 2 times. No, about 13 times the Cuyahoga River caught on fire. Right? Because what happened was just the pollution from all the factories. Has anybody been down to the flats? There's that bridge that goes over the water right as you go out to the lake. What was happening was the sparks from the trains hitting the metal would fall onto the river, and it would catch the river on fire from all the pollution. Guess what organization was created because of the Cuyahoga River? EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, because they had to create something to come in and help clean up the river, and then they kind of expanded, and now it's this astronomically big, huge organization, right? So generally, like, are we okay with the government helping out with keeping food clean and safe? Yeah, I'm okay with that. How far do we let them go, though, without that? Yeah.
How do you put out a river that's on fire?
It's a very good question.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like, was there like oil in the river?
Oh yeah, think about any of the remnants of making steel, all the pollution. So any of the oil for sure. You probably had sewage that was just pumped out. And actually, funny side note, whenever I would go downtown Cleveland, this is in the 70s when I was little, my sister would always put a blanket over my head because she said it was so bad, like the smoke. So if you guys have ever driven downtown Cleveland, there's the steel factory right there. That's actually nothing compared to when I was little. It was that whole like I'm thinking 77. If you're on 71, that steel yard where the Walmart is and the Home Depot. Yeah, that actually used to literally be a steel yard. Like that whole, we're talking 10, 20 square miles was just steel. Which is why the Steelers don't like us and why we don't like the Steelers. Because it was a steel industry in Cleveland versus the steel industry in Pittsburgh. And they were the Steelers and we just took on the Browns, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, the smokestacks, legit smoke. Like they would just burn it and let it go. There was no filtration systems. It was black smoke. It was gray smoke. It was like even when it was a sunny day, Cleveland had that smog around it. It was just nasty. And then they had to come in and put filter systems on there and everything. But I would say sewage, anything that comes along with sewage, oil for sure, any chemicals that they were using to help with the steel industry, they would just pump it right in the lake and think, okay, it's going to go away. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Okay.
So if we still had that huge steel industry to this shit, would you think that we would be the Steelers?
I don't know if that would have a big impact.
I mean, it would be weird if we were the Browns, but we had like a whole.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the economic aspect of it. The thing we would have more, and this is actually one of the things that we're running into, is a lot of the industry-based jobs are going away. So like Ford used to be this big, huge factory down in Brooklyn Park, and now that's down to a quarter the size, if not almost gone. Trying to think. GM is still downtown. They have a factory down there, Brooklyn Park area, Cleveland, right on that border. Steel mills used to be huge. So what's happening is a lot of the companies are transferring over to high-tech stuff. So downtown Cleveland has more employees. So if we're looking at just money-wise, you might have a different fan base. Like I would imagine if it was a lot more steel workers, you might end up having this is going to be stereotypical, a rougher crowd at the games.
Okay.
Because they're a little bit more blue collar.
Okay.
Right? So you're like the factory workers versus your white collar office workers, right? So if you were to go to a game, I'm trying to think of how to explain or what would be a difference. So it would be like the Raiders, that would be kind of the crowd, rougher, tougher, more fights. I'm not sure if it would have an impact on the Browns themselves. We might have, I don't know, we might have more income available, more tax dollars going towards the Browns. They wouldn't have gotten a new stadium though, I'll tell you that. They had the old Muni Stadium, a big, huge, massive, horrible stadium that I was raised. It was the biggest stadium in the U.S. I think we could seat 60,000 or say 80,000 in that Muni Stadium, but it was the poorest design. The guys got to go to the bathroom with urinals, like a trough. It wasn't like individual. It was really bad.
I think figure out a way to stop sewage from being pumped into Lake Erie. That's like still a huge thing.
Still an issue from time to time. It's not anywhere near as bad as it used to be.
Because like
The filtration systems we have nowadays are like. I actually watched a video last summer. I was like, as all of us were probably bored watching random YouTube clips. One of them I came across was how they filter all of the stuff. So the water that we get, yes, we have Lake Erie, but we still have water from our sewage that they go through filtration systems and they pump right back out to us.
I remember I worked plumbing over the summer, and the first time I snaked like a sewage drain in a house, the first thing I thought was, man, this just smells like Lake Erie. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Lake Erie just smells like raw sewage.
Yeah, like I don't swim in Lake Erie.
Yeah.
I was up in New Hampshire at my uncle's lake that he lives on. That was fine. It was a nice little small lake, but Lake Erie, no, I won't jump into that water.
My brother sunk our kayak there.
Cool.
Like the unsinkable kayak.
They sink.
Thinking about unsinkable kayak.
It's so heavy that it's not supposed to sink. Like we haven't sunk it
Yeah,
once.
that's true. I do remember hearing that statement before.
And we sunk it.
Where was that? Oh yes. So a couple of the things that you guys are seeing up here in regards to the mixed economic system, just so the roles of the government. We already talked about a couple of these. But some of the questions that need to be asked in regards to our system, are you willing to pay taxes to fund the Army? who here is okay to fund the military?
I have a military family.
Yeah, so I mean, we have that personal connection. Some of you guys may not be as keen on the military, but you know, we want that national protection. So yeah, I'll pay some tax dollars for that. I wanted to give money to the unemployed. I think I asked this question.
Good job.
Well, what about a legitimate situation where,
Legitimate, yes,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But they have to change the rules.
okay,
You can't
Before I
just,
wanna give
like-
money.
right, so then we run into, yes, we're okay, but there's conditions. Right, so you run into that, and I think everyone at some point in time, regardless of how much you wanna help out, is like, it would be kinda like someone living, like my brother used to live at my house, and it was like, all right, that's good. I love that you're my brother, and I love you, but we gotta watch, because now you're like making messes, and you're leaving me for me to clean up, and then you're not paying you're not giving me like rent, and I wasn't even asking for it, I was like $50 a month, and he wasn't even paying that. I was like, all right. Right, so how far do we allow that to go? Are you willing to give all people an education? Right, how far?
and 12.
12th grade?
Yeah.
Right, what about preschool? Because that's a big, huge push now. They're talking about preschool,
Oh, yeah, preschool.
K through, like all the way up to, preschool up to kindergarten.
Pre-K.
I don't think I actually learned anything in preschool.
I'm gonna be.
I think it was a waste of time.
I
Like,
just.
my
I'm
life was
being
taken
honest.
care of.
Like,
So-
I'm like the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but think about it. It's also giving children the opportunity to learn how to socially interact with other kids.
I socially interacted with the kid next to me by hitting him on a daily basis.
That's a different type of social interaction.
I think about it from like a parent standpoint.
No,
Like-
he started.
I still remember I still remember doing this when I was in preschool. I don't know why I was mad about something, and the teacher put me in the hallway, and I was a little older than the little itty bitty kids, and I remember putting my foot out and trying to trip them.
Mr. Holland.
I know. How much are you willing to give up in order to get? And so I know it's very open ended, but and this is the big discussion that we run into nowadays is 5% tax rate okay? Is 10% okay? Is 15, 20? How much are you willing to give up to get all these programs for the government? And again, that is your eternal debate, Republican, Democrat, Independent. So I know it's economics, but there's no way to disconnect. We talk about mixed economic systems, it's a constant. And then how much is too much, right? Because right now,
Right now,
right now we're looking at under the Trump presidency, it was 21% tax rate on that certain income level. Now they're talking about taking it up to 29%. Under Carter, it was, I think it was like 55 or 60% tax rate, right? So that was back in the 70s. And it came down, and then under Clinton it went back up. So yeah, you'll see that swing back and forth, but how much is too much? Think about gas prices. Think about all the taxes that come along with that, what we talked about just now. Is it okay that they're taxing us at 70% or 70 cents on the dollar going in taxes?
no.
Right? It's all the hidden fees that our chapter I'm just starting to read right now is about food and how we get taxed on foods. And one of the things in there they say, and she actually uses it in both the gas prices and the food was she didn't say Hicks, but she was talking about like all you farmers, all you out in the country folk that are trying to avoid, or you stay within yourselves. Are you avoiding these taxes? Nope. You're still getting hit in different ways. Like think about all the fuel that you have to use for farming equipment, right? The taxes on that, right? So now this is where we run into a new model.
Oh,
So the
There's
new
a lot
model.
more arrows here.
Oh yeah, a ton more arrows because we have this lovely little entity in the middle we know as the government. We still have the product market, we still have the households, we still have the firms or the businesses, we still have the product market, we still have the factor market. So those four don't change, but now the government, and this is one of the things I've told this last couple of years, I would love to have a diagram that I could like maximize the government or minimize. Like this thing could get bigger because the bigger this gets, the smaller these get, and the bigger these get, the smaller that gets. How much government do we want? Right. When you think about me, myself, and I am technically a government employee. Right. So I am providing my services to the government. Right. And the government is paying me an income. So I provide them, they pay me an income. But where do they get the income to pay me? Taxes. Taxes. So ironically, in a small form, I'm actually paying a very, very small percentage of my own income in taxes. Right? If the government wants to buy toilet paper, just a basic toilet paper, right? They're going to purchase it from this company right here, and that company will give them that, right? Give them that item. Right? Where do they get the money? In taxes. In taxes. So again, ironically, the company is actually getting taxed on the very things.
Do government employees have taxes taken out of their paycheck?
Thank you very much. What's that?
Do government employees have taxes taken out of their paycheck?
Yes.
But like, they're getting
Where
paid
does
with
it
tax
go then?
money, so where is it?
The irony is thick, isn't it? There are times though that like if I wanted to purchase, I went to the Mac store in Crawford Park this past weekend. And I was looking at getting a new iMac, and then there's the new wristband for the watch, and there's a new watch, and there's the new MacBooks just came out. Anyways, there's a tax exempt status I could apply for as a teacher. So I would pay everything, but I would exempt from the taxes because it's like a perk. Or if the school was buying stuff from Macintosh or like big, huge computer, like the video production, that whole area down there, they're going to be getting new computers over the summer, I believe is what I heard. So that's going to be all tax exempt. So they'll get the product, they won't have to pay taxes on that because otherwise they're kind of like a vicious cycle. So this becomes our life. How much government do we want involved? Right now, when we look at this too, we look at this the continuum, this back and forth, left to right. In regards to more governments, we have talked about North Korea being a mostly centrally planned economy, but are they 100% centrally planned? No, they're pretty close, not 100%. They still have some traditions. They still allow little markets that you can still pop up in towns, and the government allows for those things. And then you run over to the other side of this, the board, you have Singapore. Does anybody know where Singapore is?
No.
China.
I know there's a culinary
Oh,
institute.
Japan.
Is there?
Yeah,
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff. One of the lowest crime rates, but it's also it's what we call a city state. It's its own country, but it's only the size. It's the size of like New York-ish. Yeah, but that's it. It's its own country and its own city. So when they have a crime rate of 1%, it's also easier to monitor a city versus the entire country, right? The whole kit and caboodle. But then again, they have also a lot less government involvement in certain aspects of their life. There's a lot of things that are illegal here. They're not illegal over there. Like prostitution is not illegal over there. Child prostitution is, right? But other variations. As a matter of fact, they have areas all over Singapore that you can go, and that's part of it. The drug thing is very strict there. That is one thing that they are against big time. So the drug dealing and drug sales, and there actually at one point they said there's potential for actually a death penalty on your first offense for drugs.
Oh.
Yeah. So no United States third strike you're out. It's first strike you're dead. Right? So it's very, very limiting. So you typically, like if you get a smack in the wrist versus a punch in the face, right? I will listen to you more if a punch in the face is the very first punishment I get. If it's a smack in the wrist, we're like, whatever. Who in here has ever gotten spanked by their mom versus their dad? Right? Or the stronger one versus the weaker one. Right? Because I remember when I was little, my mom would spank us and we were like, oh. And we would like fake cry. And we're like, I can't believe you did that, don't you? Versus my dad, who would take this big wooden spoon and be like, swat. And you're like, oh. Nowadays, that would be
Frowned upon.
Yeah. Matter of fact, he was proud of breaking the paddle on our butt once. So then what he did was he just folded it in half.
Yeah, but you guys' generation did a lot better than our generation.
I mean, look at us.
Punishment wise.
My dad would always just
Thank you,
his
generation,
belt
for
off
putting
and
the
like,
time out
like,
generation.
you better behave, and then like do the crap with it.
My dad did the belt. For my younger brother, it was the belt. was the belt. And it was always, if we were out for dinner, that was always the fun one. Eddie, do I have to? And he would just do this. And my brother would go, no.
My
Because he
mom
would
was
take
never
him to the
like
bathroom.
that.
Do we
though.
need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, that's she goes.
Yeah.
Do we need to go to the car? Do we need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No.
And my favorite one, my brother, my favorite one was my dad was, because he had the dining room was my dad's like workspace. And my dad was, it was a Sunday and he was working on stuff, or Saturday, whatever. And my little brother at the time, well, younger brother, he was 4 or 5 years old. And you know how they test the waters? So my dad said, you go to your room, young man. So you hear my brother goes up the stairs, you hear him get to the door, and you hear him come back down the stairs. And he goes up to my dad, and he goes, no, you go to your room. And then all you hear is the chair slide back. As my dad is standing up, and then you hear my brother go, runs up. And then 3 seconds later, my dad entering the door, or into the room after him. And then followed by, no, Dad.
Now it's like my little brother tests the waters, but his favorite word is the A word, a-hole,
Ooh.
and the F word. So we were at this grocery store the other day, and there's this old lady in front of us. He goes, "You granny." I was like, "You can't say that." And my mom's like, "What did he just say?"
Now my dad, again, different eras. My dad would have grabbed me. You know how those dogs or cats grab like open up the back of the neck? That would have been my dad. He'd be like, all right, let's go outside. We need to talk.
So my mom was like, "You need to apologize to her right now." And he goes, "Sorry, you fucking granny." And I was like, "I'm so sorry." We're gonna have to get a timeout. So no treasure chest.
Well, the other thing too is, as you, different kids, different punishments. Like my older brother, oh my gosh, he was the one that you'd have to like. My dad would be like, "You understand? No," and he'd be like, "Smack." How about now? I'm fine. Smack. What about now? Okay, maybe. Smack. Okay, Dad, I'll stop. Like, so, versus me, who my dad would be like this, and like, I'm sorry. Yeah. And then as you get older too, like I think it was like 12 or 13, my dad was like, he would just do that look. He'd be like, like the disappointment look. And you're like, oh, sorry, Dad. Sorry.
My brother's to
I'll
the
do
point where
better.
he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm the disappointment of the family." My mom's like, "Yeah, you're right, you are." And he was like, "Oh my god."
My dad had this other one too. I thought was really funny. He would do this flashlight thing. He was like, "I can tell if you're lying when I flashlight hit your eyes. I'll be able to tell." And of course, I believed it. And I turned the flashlight. It was a total bluff. He turned the flashlight on and like tried to shine at my face. "Oh, it's okay. I did it. Sorry." And my older brother though was a smart one. He was like, "It doesn't work. That's my dad's not lying. Dad's lying." My favorite was my dad. We played with matches. Ooh.
Oh no.
And so that night, this is back in the 70s when we had the plaid suits. That was all plaid stuff. My mom had bought my brother and I little leisure suits. And I was like 6 or 7. No, 7 or 8. My brother was 8 or 9. And my dad was coming home. And it was one of those, well, you wait till your father gets home. So my brother and I put on our leisure suits. And we were all dressed to the nines because we thought, we're going to look good. Try to like, "Hey, Dad, how's it going? Welcome home. See you." And that didn't work at all. My brother actually put books in his hands
Armor.
because he knew it was coming. All right.
Put a match face down on a striker and like both there you can flick a lit match across the room.
We were just lighting my dad's old mail on fire. It was really kind of funny because it was in the basement. It was like a metal mesh garbage can. So we're like, "Oh, it's metal. It'll be fine." So, and then we leave it there and we were like, "Oh, soots," and all the stuff. We're like, "Oh," we put it out. And then my mom was upstairs and she's up on the phone. And then she's like, "What's going on down there?" "Nothing." And then she was like, "What's that smell?" "Nothing." Like,
We're cooking.
yeah, and then we were in trouble. There's no way around it. All right, so I found this video regarding North Korea propaganda. One of the things that you run into is they control everything, right? I showed you guys some of the North Korean stuff, but I thought this was a good one because it's just the way they try to convince their people that the United States is bad. So let's see if it works. Of course.
How Americans Live Today. Dramatic music. This is how Americans live today. Drinking coffee made from snow and living in tents and buying guns to kill each other, especially children.
Especially children.
Playing about guns. Living on the streets of modern day America. These trees are full of snow. You'll see that there are no birds. They've been eaten by the people who live in these tents and corridors. This man awaits heroin. Their houses blow down very easily,
Blow down.
and they have to live in tents like these.
Because those will blow down, but the house is
This man will show us his tent with pride.
Wonder how much he's being
He
paid.
points to his items so the camera notices his roof has fallen down. This is common in modern day America. The American Red Cross supplies curtains and walls from material from North
What
Korea.
else is American Red Cross? It's an American
Again,
Red Cross.
there are no birds in the trees apart from these, which will be eaten.
Did you? I'm going to back up because you want to hear that part of it. Did you notice where they get the materials to make the blankets, though? From North Korea. So they're providing the assistance to the United States.
Tuesday, trees apart from these, which will be eaten on Tuesday.
It's the guy dumping his birthday.
Again, there are no birds in the trees apart from these, which will be eaten on Tuesday. They are yummy.
They are yummy.
You can also eat the snow, of which there is plenty
No, I wanted that
in the
one.
United States. These people lie huddled together with their dead friends in blue body bags, drinking coffee cups full of local snow.
Snow.
They are very good friends. They are together in adversity. In other parts of America, often disguised as foreign countries in Europe,
This is actually a foreign country in Europe. It's nowhere in the United States.
people
Where
live
is
the
that?
same terrible life.
Wait.
This man, a former Republican candidate for Oregon, is now having to get coffee made of snow from these trucks. Many Americans have to live like this daily and are entitled to one cup most days. The weather is freezing, but the hot snow tastes nice.
Love their snow.
They are very grateful to their government for these handouts. Yummy.
Yummy.
They enjoy it immensely. Meantime, in the major offices, factories and railway stations, people sit around under expensive adverts for Dell computers, drinking snow from plastic cups.
I know, the snow is really good.
Pass by, not caring, for they are all in the same situation.
I feel like he's just like making up.
These telephones no longer work.
As he goes, he's like, oh,
There is no
snow.
one
Let's
to
make hot
call.
snow.
Oh, this is
Some
good.
lucky
Wait.
people are allowed beds and floors indoors like this.
Wait.
This is how they live in modern day America. Huddled together, the poor, the cold, the lonely, and the homosexual.
Oh my god.
The North Korean camera crew awoke this guy who was very cold and gave him some North Korean coffee and a blanket. Meantime, these people queued up for handouts from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and were each given a cake.
Gotta get some of that coffee and snow.
I know what I'm getting for
Bird.
We're not fighting them, but
I want that bird.
No, it does, but apparently we have more
Okay.
snow. All right, guys, we'll pick up on this tomorrow right here.
Wait, but she ain't bird. What was it we did?
Honestly.